Alexa, stop. Maybe that's not the best song to pick for this. I've just received a flag. Evidently, something I said may or may not be hate speech. And, well, the world we live in right now, I think, is teetering. And people are so afraid of words, and maybe they should be. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just accept this as I need to explain what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm crazy. The only thing is that crazy people don't know they're crazy, and I do know I'm crazy. I am very emotionally undisciplined. Modern people call it being bipolar, and I guess that's an excuse just for being having absolutely no self-control. Alcoholism is a disease. Drug addiction is a disease. We're all helpless. None of us can control anything we do. It's not racism when you attack white people because white people deserve. I mean, the world is completely upside down. And I'm not making it any better because I see a lot of things that really make me angry. And instead of reacting in a rational way, I do in my brain what I think of as sort of a parody, sort of a tit for tat. Well, you're going to say something completely bonkers and ridiculous. So I guess I'm entitled to do the same to you. But it doesn't work that way. You really, when you're dealing with, I'm just going to say it. I mean, what color am I? I'm actually blue. I'm one of the lizard people, but I suffer from a disease that it's kind of like high blood pressure and diabetes, and it makes my skin purple. It looks blue here, but actually I'm inside of my nose, it's just like crazy. Well, again, this is parody too. Does it really matter? Let's say for the sake of argument that I am actually human, and I'm white. It's okay to say all kinds of ridiculous things. Every side feels they're justified in their hatred. And I think at this moment, if you come across some of the idiotic things I say, and again, I'm sorry, they're done for shock value. They really are. Do I mean them? I don't even know. I think at that moment I might, and then I regret it, and then I think, what a chicken shit thing to do. Just put up something really, really awful, and then not own it. I think the problem with the world today is people refuse to accept responsibility for their actions and blame it on things like emotional problems or they're addicted. It's a disease. Hunter Biden is suffering from a disease, which is my dad's famous song, I'm going to go out and make lots of money and smoke a lot of crack. Donald Trump, I guess he suffers from affluenza, only he won't even admit, he's really crazy. He won't admit that he's doing anything wrong. He never makes an excuse. But I think, if you remember going back to Texas, there was that, the argument was this kid was so spoiled that he couldn't be held responsible for his actions because he never had to. And never should have to because he's rich, basically. Affluenza is, I'm rich, I never learned how to accept responsibility for my actions, and now's not a good time to start. Maybe I should accept responsibility for the fact that I get pissed off and say really dumb things. And if I've said anything to offend you that's genuinely offensive, when I say genuine, I mean what's the legal style that a reasonably prudent person would find hurtful. I probably did it because you said something that was really, really offensive and stupid. I'll give you an example of something I just did now. I came across a video where this guy was just screaming, all these people are anti-Semitic because they're very upset about the fact that Israel, with their tanks and bombs, is committing genocide in Gaza. They're just slaughtering people. They can't fight back. They're just killing them. It's as bad as anything the Nazis did in the Warsaw Ghetto. It really is. And then I come across this guy screaming about Hamas throwing babies in ovens and rape. Hamas did terrible things. What specifically they did, I don't know. I really don't. So I made some comment about a Holocaust myth. Now, why did I say this? Is it because I actually believe that? No, and I shouldn't have said that. But I'm not going to take it down. I'm going to tell you why. Because I need to own it, and I need to apologize for it. It was done for shock value. It was done to make you think. I think this is what really frustrates me. It's tit for tat. The people in Gaza have been living in a prison for almost 80 years. And like the Jews living in the Warsaw Ghetto. And finally, they realized that they were going to be exterminated, and they fought back. I think the same thing is true, but the Jews took it out on the Nazis. They didn't just go out into the Polish suburbs and start slaughtering innocent people. That's the distinction. I think the argument that the Hamas wants to make is, well, we know you're going to exterminate us, so we're going to fight back. But they didn't take on the Israeli military. I think they might have taken on a few military places. And so that was a military operation. But they went after people at a rave or in their houses who were civilians that were basically on their land. But I would like to make one thing very clear, and I'm very, very sorry, because I should just stay off I shouldn't say anything. But here's the thing. We live in a society that says you have a right to your speech, but everybody's telling me, well, not now. Not now. You know, there was just a tragedy, a mass shooting. You shouldn't talk about gun control. There was a horrible tragedy in Israel. You shouldn't talk about it. Well, when the fuck can you talk about anything? I would like to make one thing clear. I think they should kill Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization. And if Israel was just surgically hunting down Hamas, like they did with Hammer of God, where they were just going, where they went all the way, oh, they did kill that Palestinian waiter in Norway. And they got in trouble for that, because that was like an oops, we made a mistake. But they were trying to be very surgical. They're not being surgical now. And I think to a certain extent you can understand that. It's an emotional reaction, like some of the dumb things. I think that's the thing you should take from this before they take me down and censor me. I think that's what I'm trying to make you realize. People get upset and they do stupid things. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. Should they be going after Hamas? Is Hamas a terrorist organization? Did they do absolutely unspeakable things that should never, ever be justified? I'd have to say, yeah, you can't justify what Hamas did. Should they be hunted down and killed? I think you'd be very, very difficult to make any sort of argument for any sort of restraint. Well, maybe we should arrest them and put them in a prison and try to rehabilitate them so that they can be used as a bargaining chip, and then some other terrorist will demand that they be released as hostages. Fucking kill them. I'm going to probably regret this, but let's say instead of the Israeli government, you were dealing with the mafia. Because right about now, the mafia probably is more humane and logical. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. Somebody whacked your people. They came in and they whacked your whole family. Now, the organized crime groups of today would respond in a certain way, like the Colombians or the Jamaicans or the Russian mafia. They just go to the families or the ethnicities that attack them and just wipe people out indiscriminately, because they don't care, and just just create terror, absolute sheer terror. In the old days, let's say and this isn't always true, but we don't kill women and children. The old mafias, for the most part, especially the Italian mafia. The Irish mafia was kind of vicious. The Purple Gang, they were nasty. But the Italian mafia, I'm just saying because this is pretty much a fact, they had rules because they had families. We don't kill women, and no women, no kids. That was a rule. And they'd find out who was responsible. They'd hunt them down and they'd kill them. And in some cases, they'd even go to the families, and instead of killing the families, they'd give them money. Says, "Look, nothing personal. Here's some money." You know, it's not perfect and it's awful, but it was tit for tat. You kill us, we kill you. That was the mafia. It would be like the Irish mob made a hit on the Italian mob, and the Italian mob just went into an Irish neighborhood and started slaughtering Irish people. They would never do that because they were smart. They know that would bring down the heat. They'd find out who did it, and they'd, like the Hamas, and they'd whack them. That's Don Corleone. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. Surgical. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. Of course Israel has to respond, but and again, I'll probably get censored for this too, and I don't care. I'm just going to say it because we're supposed to live in a free country. Does any of this make any sense that Israel, this powerful, or I mean, for better or for worse, let's just say one thing about the Jews. They've got a damn good army and a damn good intelligence agency. Why did this happen? Why all of a sudden did Hamas, oh, we didn't see it coming. How could you not see it coming? And here's another thing I'd just like to notice. The people that got killed were all left-wing. They were all peaceniks. They were at a peace rave or whatever. They weren't even armed. And most people that want, I mean, there's gun control in Israel, but most people that want a gun can have a gun. Especially in an area like that. They're soldiers. Why? There were no soldiers in any of those houses that had guns? Soldiers are allowed to bring their guns home. This is very suspicious. And all of a sudden, all these left-wingers, because there are divisions that were protesting Bibi for basically staging a coup, they get slaughtered. And now, and rightfully so, all of Israel's traumatized and they just want blood. And this has been going on there and all over the world, whether it's Northern Ireland or Bosnia or Rwanda or the Germans, my God. People forget that it wasn't just the Jews, the Nazis, Hitler hated Slavs. He killed 20 million Russians, and it wasn't just because they were communists. He considered Slavic people subhuman. It wasn't just the Jews. Well, we'll keep them alive. They can do our dirty work. We'll make them slaves. They're Slavs. We'll make them slaves. It wasn't just, and this is the thing that was so insidious about the Nazis. They did go after the communists, and they were greeted as liberators. Because let's face it, communists were horrible, but they made a couple of mistakes. First of all, they collectively blamed Jews for communism and every other thing that they simply weren't blamed for. I mean, most being intellectuals, being an intellectual culture, there were a lot of Jews that were part of the communist movement. A lot of them. But 99% of Jewish people didn't have anything to do with communism, didn't want anything to do with it. It's like saying all Nazis were Germans. Yeah, well, it was, although I think it started in, I was watching something that it might have started in Czechoslovakia, although the Czech National Socialist Party was very, very, very different than the Nazis. They weren't anti-Semitic. And that's like, that was like a big part of the Nazi act, was hating Jews and racism. You take away that, it's not really, it might be nationalism, it might not be nice, but it's not the same animal. So anyways, the Nazis are in Ukraine, and the generals who were, I mean, again, not really great people, but were thinking more rationally and practically, like the Romans used to. Look, these people, they fucking hate communists, and rightfully so. Millions were killed by the communists. They're on our side. If we would just treat them like human beings, maybe we could get them on our side and help us defeat communists. But that wasn't what the Nazis wanted to do. They wanted Lebensraum. They wanted to wipe the Slavs out. So it wasn't. They said that it was about fighting communism, but it was more than that. They just wanted to. It was racism, and that was the unacceptable thing. Being anti-communist, It's even if you sympathize with like social democracy, and even in 1932 Germany there was the Iron Front. Social Democrats did not want anything to do with communists. They realized what they were. They realized that communists were just as bad as Nazis. They were um, they were a cancer. They were violent totalitarianists who would just there'd be a bloodbath. And that was the Nazi argument. Look, if we don't kill them, they'll spread communism everywhere. And the communist response was, if we don't kill all the Germans, they'll spread Nazism everywhere. It's this idea of collective guilt. Now, again, did the Holocaust happen? Absolutely, of course it happened. And maybe now I have your attention and you can watch this video and see that I'm not the monster that you think I am. I'm just a fucking asshole. And I'm sorry. If that offended you, I owe you an apology. I am going to apologize to you. But I got your attention, didn't I? Maybe I didn't. And I'm sure I would never be monetized. I shouldn't be posting. I shouldn't do this. But maybe I should. The thing I should do is apologize and make it clear that Hamas is a terrorist group. The Holocaust happened. These are terrible, terrible things. But one doesn't justify the other. It's like saying, well, communism's bad, so we can kill communists. We can kill anybody that even sympathizes with communism. We'll just wipe them out. The Jews are responsible for communism. And this was the argument. I'm not making this up. This is the Nazi argument. We can wipe them out. The Slavs are inferior, and we'll pretend that we're killing them because they're communists. They were. It was very racist, and they wanted to kill Slavic people. Now, whether the Nazis were atheists or Christians, I think the Nazis pretended to be a lot of things they weren't. They knew they could get people on their side if they said, hey, we're socialists too. We're for the working class. Were they? Oh, hell no. They got lots of money from the industrialists. It was a lie. Oh, hey, we're fighting for Christianity to save the Christian world from communism. That was partially true. They were fighting godless communism. Were they trying to preserve Christianity? Not really. They were. They weren't atheists either. They went back to a very dark place. They were basically pagans with high tech weaponry, and that's where you got the real savagery. Could Christians be cruel and uncivilized? Yes, but I think even the Catholic Church kind of held them fascists, kind of like this. You know, you held them out and you held your nose, and it was like, oh well, at least they're not communists. I think there were probably people that got confused and fervently embraced fascism. And the fascists and the Nazis didn't get along always either. Mussolini, up until the very end when he realized it was overwhelming, didn't trust Hitler. Adolphus something or other in Austria sided with Mussolini because even fascists feared Hitler. They realized that there was just something unspeakably evil about Adolf Hitler. So I want to make that clear, instead of those stupid, snarky comments I make, just to get attention and to get people for shock value. And that's honestly why I'm doing that. I'm doing that because I'm an asshole and I feel entitled. Maybe like a little kid that sits in the corner and breaks things and holds his breath because no one's paying attention to him. But now I have your attention. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Israel is perfectly. No, does Israel have a right to exist? I'm not going to say no because that's going. I mean, I'll tell you why I would even think that. I've been watching all these because I want to be fair and I feel bad. And I wanted people said there's a difference between Judaism and Zionism. So I've been listening to a lot of rabbis. I'm not listening to, and maybe that's prejudice, but even though I feel bad for the people of Gaza, I'm not going to listen to any sermons from the Muslims because that's a prejudice. But I was raised Christian, and I guess in the back of my mind, that chosen people thing. Although I was listening to some Christians that said that that's a heresy because, well, what are they saying? Jesus is the third temple, and to try to rebuild the third temple is a heresy. So even among Christians, whether or not to support Israel, I mean, evangelicals in this country basically run our government. So it just seems like all Christians are pro Israel or pro-Zionist, and they're not. One I was watching said, when Jesus Christ came back and the Jews denied him, they were no longer God's chosen people. They turned their back on God, and they were no longer God's chosen people. So it's confusing. What the hell does that mean? But I don't really listen to Islamic sermons because you're not allowed to drink. They stone women. They're very anti-feminist. Not that the Christians are much better, but I wanted to listen to the rabbis because the Jews are the ones that started this Abrahamic thing. So I respectfully listened to a bunch of them. There's some guy named Shapiro, and he's not with the funny accent and the coily hair. He looks like a human being, and he seems very well spoken, and he seems like he grooms himself regularly. He seems very nice, and I respectfully listened to him. And I listened to him, and I said, well, he sounds like someone that. And it's not my religion, but it sounds like he's just trying to do what it says in the Torah. And the Torah, he explained it very well, that the Torah says that until the Messiah comes back, Jews are forbidden a state. Judaism, this is what he said, is a religion. It's not a race, and it's not a nationality. That was a contrivance by some Herzog dude who created Zionism. And here's the thing that really blasted my mind. Zionism was started by Protestants. Of course, they're always causing trouble. I didn't know this, but it was a Protestant idea. They read the Bible, rightly or wrongly, who knows? Because it's complicated. If you tried to interpret the Bible, it's been translated into so many different languages and says so many different things. But what they got from it was Jews had to return to their home for like the 15 millionth time, so that before Jesus would come back and kill everybody that wasn't a Christian or whatever fakak mashugana thing these evangelicals believe. So they talked Herschel and these assimilated secular Jews into saying, well, you've got to go back to Israel. You're a people, you're a race, and you need your own country. And at the time, and still some, religious Jews says, we are not a people. We are forbidden to have a country. We are a religion. We're on a mitzvah to witness to the world and serve the world and, set an example for God, even though everybody hates us and spits on us. Judaism, the Catholics have a country. It's called Vatican City. It's like 100 acres and 600 old men in dresses, And you're not allowed to show your arms if you're a woman. That's the Vatican City. It's like a couple acres in Rome. That's their city. And I think no one disputes it, and they just let them stay there. And most Western European countries, be they Protestant or Catholic or whatever they were, are very secular now. Italy, Spain, they're all very secular. Or if you're a Christian, you probably call them godless. I'm teetering on it. I keep thinking, I should be more religious, but I'm not. I don't like religion. I'm probably, if there's a hell, the way they describe it, I'll probably go there. But I would like to be a good person, and I just realized that it's just not in me. I want to be good. But I'm not. So I'm trying not to be bad. All right, which is why I'm apologizing to you for saying really. You're going to come across some things that I said that were deliberately offensive and that I definitely did not mean. And I'll tell you why I said them. First and foremost, it's because I'm an asshole. And I like hurting people's feelings because I'm hurt. I'm a hurt person. Boo-hoo me. Don't feel sorry for me. I probably deserved it. My whole life since I was a kid, I've been kicked around. I was called a fag. I was called a Jew. You name it. I was called it, swirly, beaten up in the shower. I was unmercifully picked on all my life till I was about 18, and I got to be 6 feet tall. Then I put on a little weight because they had me on antidepressants, 250 pounds. I bought a baseball bat, I bought a hunting knife, and eventually I bought a 357 Magnum. I don't have any of these things now. A 9 Browning high power. I loved that Beretta. That was nice, but no guns. And I had a Kalashnikov, a Colt Sporter, an Mini 14, and an M40. I had so many guns. I was a big, fat, angry white guy who couldn't decide whether he was going to be an anarchist or far left, far right. I was just nuts. And I was angry at everybody, and I was ready to go off. It's a wonder I didn't end up doing something crazy, which is why they have me on a medication. I'm sorry. Don't be scared. You know what? My challenge now is, can I get to the bathroom without urinating all over myself? Taking my medication. I can't even get up and down the stairs. Oh, you want to know the weapon I have? I've got this can of mace. I got a baseball bat. Here's a little mace. Here's a little toot thing. If someone attacks me, it's... What does it do? It's probably worn out. Yeah, it's probably worn. It's probably no good anymore. So that's what I do. Is I'm gonna go in a room and make a lot of noise. That's all me. And then here's my one deadly weapon. This is it's a little pocket knife. It's very sharp. I've got cuts all over my hands from trying to do that. You know, it looks easy, but you got to break these things in. I actually drew blood, not on the sharp end, but on the dull end. You gotta break them in. This is it. Someone comes after me, close quarters. You go for the eyes. You go for the throat. The heart. You got a bird cage in here. You got bone to cut through, so that's not necessarily good. But this is it. This is all I ever really had. And I've got arthritis now, but I used to be pretty good with this. And there we go. Did I lose my... Yeah, I'm losing my computer, and maybe rightfully so. Maybe I don't deserve to have a computer. Yeah, before my computer dies, I think I should... I will eventually upload this. If you're angry at me and you want to come after me, first of all, I don't have a job. You can't get me fired from the job. I'm basically squatting in this house. I'm not supposed to be. My family can't get me to leave. They're very nice people. They realize I'm crazy. They don't agree with anything I say. They're really good people. They are. They're very nice people, and they're very kind to me, and they put up with me. But they, it's like, this is the whole thing about collective punishment. It was so wrong what Hamas did to those people. This is the thing. It's just all wrong. You did this to us, so we did this to you. I'll give you an example. As bad as the Nazis were, let's face it, the German people were collectively punished. When the Soviets went into Eastern Germany, they killed, they raped, they murdered, they do all sorts of horrible things out of revenge because of what was done to them. Now, was it right? No, it wasn't right, but it was understandable. We tried to restrain that. But here's an example of what I'm talking about what was going on in Gaza. And we'll make an allusion to World War II, and then I'll just shut up. We were the good guys, right? We bombed Dresden. Dresden was not a military target. It had no military value. We could have avoided bombing Dresden, and it wouldn't have lengthened the war. There was no military significance to Dresden. It was just a very beautiful architectural city. It was full of civilians. We could have not done that, and the war would have not lasted 1 minute longer. We could have dropped those bombs on a strategic military target. But the British wanted revenge for Coventry and a lot of in London and the Blitz. They wanted to make the German people suffer collectively. It wasn't necessary to do that. And they weren't punishing Nazis, they were punishing German people. And a lot of people will say, well, the Germans deserved it. And there are people out there that said, well, the Jews deserved it because of all the rotten, the Rothschilds and Leon Trotsky and blah, blah, blah. And the Palestinians deserve it. They're all animals. They're all vicious. This is my message to you. Now that I've got your attention. The whole idea of collective punishment is very, very dangerous. It was done to the Jews. It was done to the Germans. And now it's being done to the Palestinians. Don't think in terms of collective punishment. And remember the words of Don Corleone. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. And let's face it, right now, the mafia is morally superior to any of these people. They would never do anything as horrible as Hamas did. They just wouldn't. No women, no kids. Although some organized crime groups today probably would. The old school mafia would never have done that to women and children. They didn't. They were more civilized. Really, when you look at the world, they probably were more civilized than our government, which is why I think they were tolerated. It's like people knew, you know. And as soon as the old mob went away, what did we get? Did we get anything better? No, we got the Colombian cartels, which are just horribly vicious, and the Russian mob. I mean, the old Italian mob, the old Irish mobs. They were Boy Scouts. They were just such nice, civilized people compared to what replaced them. You know, with the viciousness of the Russian mobs and the Colombian cartels. Just unbelievable, unspeakable butchery, and which is basically what Hamas did. The old mafia would have probably been like Golda Meir, what she did in The Hammer of God after Munich. They went after the people that planned the PLO massacre of their athletes, and they took them out one by one. It took them a while, but they got them. And the world was like, no, that violates international law. Shouldn't do that. They kind of looked the other way because they realized that even though it did technically break international law, what the state of Israel was doing was justified. They wanted revenge, and it was better than collective punishment. They did kill one innocent Palestinian waiter in Norway, and the world went nuts, and rightfully so. You can't do that. But now we're killing, they say it's 10,000. There are 2 million people in Gaza, and it looks like they want to kill all of them. Don't do that. Don't hate your enemies. It's affecting your judgment. Find out who these Hamas people are and take them out. Even if you killed everybody in Gaza, you have, for the love of God, listen to me. Now that I've got your attention, Turkey's threatening to get in this. They have a military. Do they have nuclear weapons? I don't know, but the Russians do. The Russians have nuclear weapons. The Chinese have nuclear weapons. The Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Do you really want to escalate this thing? I don't. I'm too old to go off and fight, and I'm too fat, and it's probably going to affect my Social Security. But I don't care at this point because I'm old. I'm really bad health, high blood pressure, diabetes. I'm not going to last much longer. And sometimes I wake up and think, do I want to? Well, I got a refrigerator full of food, so it's all right. But again, I have trouble walking. I'm the last thing in the world you need to worry about. It would be nice if Alexa, play Why Can't We Live Together. Let's play a nice song.
Here's Why Can't We Live Together by Timmy Thomas on Amazon Music.
Now that I've got your attention, can we just, this is what I just like to say to the world. And it doesn't matter because I'm nobody. But forget about all those snarky, horrible comments I make. I'm very sorry if they hurt your feelings, but they were meant to. Because I see things that I can't believe. I mean, how can you complain about anti-Semitic? You know who's a Semite? The Palestinians are Semites. Judaism is not a race. It's a religion. There are black Jews. There are Jews with blonde hair and blue eyes. Look at Goldie Hawn. Harrison Ford, I don't know, is he Jewish? Bill Maher, I get confused. There are Ethiopian Jews. There are Sephardim. There are Hazari, Ashkenazi. It's just like they're Irish Catholics and they're Italian Catholics and they're Catholics from Jamaica. And it's not a race, guys. Islam isn't a race either. It's a religion. It's an idea that's in your head. And Zionism is making Judaism a religion. Not a religion, a nationality, a race. And what this rabbi that I was listening to, okay, you can stop for a minute. Alexa, stop. Okay. So what this rabbi was saying, the Shapiro guy, I wish I could remember his name. It's not Ben Shapiro, it's another. And I'm going to be very respectful because I don't want to make sure that everybody realizes that I'm not anti-Semitic, because that would be saying that this rabbi is full of crap because of his religion or because of a race. But what the rabbi was saying is, Judaism isn't a race. It's a mitzvah. It's a belief system. It's a religion. You forfeit everything to become a servant of God. That's what it's supposed to be. And he seemed very sincere. What Zionism said, and most of the Zionists were atheists or assimilationists, and then a lot of religious Jews were traumatized by the Holocaust, and they started buying into this idea, which was originally created by Marxists and nationalists, that Judaism is not a religion. You should forget about the religion. The religion is ridiculous. It's an ethnicity, it's a race, it's a cultural group that deserves a state and to be separate from everybody else. And what he's saying is, what the rabbis originally saying, this Shapiro guy still saying is, we're not a race, we're not a state, we are a religion. There are Jews that are just like Muslims or Christians or Catholics or Protestants. There are Jews from every race and ethnicity that live in all countries. He says, I live in the United States, I'm an American, and my loyalty, this is a rabbi saying it, my loyalty is to the United States. I'm a good citizen, I'm a loyal citizen. It doesn't make any difference that I'm Jewish. I should be treated equally. My loyalties are not divided. I'm an American. And I respect that. But he said, that's not what Zionism is. And he kind of alluded to the fact that if you are a Zionist, you're an American, your allegiance has to be divided, because your allegiance isn't to a religion, it's to this contrived idea of race and ethnicity and nationality, which is not what the Jewish. And I'm not saying this is me. I'm just repeating what this Shapiro guy was saying. We are a religion. We don't need a state. We shouldn't have a state, and we shouldn't think of ourselves as an ethnicity, because we're not. We're people that believe in the Torah, and we are here to serve God, no matter what he flings at us, and we've suffered for it. But we are devoted to the Word of God, and we're here to witness. And just think of the influence that they've had: the Christian religion, the Islamic religion. That's a big thing. Albert Einstein. It's a big influence. But what this rabbi is saying is, I'm just trying to understand that they're really, this is a rabbi saying this. This isn't a Muslim or an atheist or a Marxist or anybody. This is a rabbi saying, and he's very conservative. The thing that Zionists don't understand is how Zionism started. And the idea actually started with Protestants. That's why the Balfour guy was an evangelical Christian. It started an idea that started by reading the book of Revelations that Jews had to return to the promised land before Jesus would come back and kill everybody that wasn't a Christian, which is kind of sick. But that's what they're trying to do, these Protestants. So they put this idea in the head of these assimilationists, these Jews that figured, well, the way we end anti-Semitism is we'll just try to assimilate, and we'll just blend in with everybody else. Maybe we'll even become Christians. That didn't work. So what was left? To create a state. That doesn't seem to be working either. But what this rabbi says is, if you read the Torah, there's no justification for the recreation of the state of Israel, really. Judaism is supposed to be a religion. It's not supposed to be a state. We lived lots of places. If you were originally going to recreate the state of Israel, most of it's in Lebanon, and parts of what's now Israel was never part of the land of Judea. I didn't know that. I figured they get a little bit wrong, but he seemed to know his stuff. And he said, not till the Messiah comes back do we get our state back. Not until then. So this is all very confusing, but basically what he was saying was, I hear a lot of Jewish people saying, not in my name. Hamas is bad, they're a terrorist group, they should all be killed. Try to find some way to do it without slaughtering Palestinians. It's like, and you know what? during World War II, Americans were like, we got to figure out ways to defeat the Nazis without completely slaughtering Germans because after this war is over, we're going to try to be their friends and have them on our side, and we don't want them hating us. So once the war was over, we were really, really nice to the and tried to bring them into our fold because we wanted to fight the communists. The communists not so much. They were terrible. They rape, murder, pillage. When they took over Eastern Germany, they took all the industry and just left them like starving. And the communists said, "Well, we don't have the guilt for the Holocaust," so they never felt that they had anything to atone for. And the Americans, as an American, to our credit, we weren't the ones that bombed Dresden. That was the British that wanted to do that. We're like daylight strategic bombing. Was that it? Yeah, we took a big risk. We shouldn't be trying to just wipe out their cities. We should try to do strategic bombing, take out their military targets, because there are civilians down there, and it's really not necessary. And once this war is over, we don't want anybody to be bitter, because we want their hearts and their minds. I mean, I'm not saying we were perfect, but we were thinking along those lines. We didn't just round up Germans and collectively massacre. You're a Nazi, you're a Nazi. We had the Nuremberg trials. We picked the big guys. A lot of the Nazis got away. We wanted to make examples of the really, really big higher up ones. And then we said, all right, it's all over. We've had our revenge. Now let's forget about it and let's move on and let's all be friends. That's not what's going on in the Middle East. It's like we slaughter you, you slaughter us, and it's never going to end. You're never going to kill all the Arabs. And God forbid you should all try to kill all the Palestinians, and push them off their land. That's just wrong. That's like what the Nazis did. That's Nazi thinking. Holocaust happened. It was terrible. It never should have happened. It was really bad. The Nazis were bad, evil people. Does that mean you wipe out all Germans? If we had, I don't think that would have worked out too well for us, because the world would have saw us as the bad guy. And that's why I think you've got a lot of blowback with Israel now, as we're saying, my God, they're killing them all. Now, isn't that what the Nazis did? Don't do that. Never hate your enemies. It affects your judgment. Alexa, play Why Can't We Live Together?
Why Can't We Live Together by Timmy Thomas on Amazon Music.
I want you to know that I'm not a complete monster. I'm just a little sick in the head. And this is, I think now that I've got your attention, and I'm sure I do, we got to stop all this war stuff and killing. I think that's why I am for a ceasefire. It's not that I love Hamas. Hamas is bad. Bad Hamas. Bad Hamas. Bad Nazis. I think I'm just against people killing each other. So it's kind of like Dresden. Didn't have to happen. It's like when we went into Germany. The American government was restrained because we realized that after this was over, we wanted to befriend them. We gave them money in the Marshall Plan. We helped them. They became our good ally. That's not what's going on in Palestine. What's going on in Palestine, in Gaza now is, well, we're Jews. We suffered through the Holocaust. It's like you kick a dog, you make the dog mean. And that's basically Zionist. It's a mean dog. It's a mean. Look at Netanyahu's eyes. He would have fit right in with one of Hitler's. He's a thug. He's a murdering thug. This is what I think. I could be wrong. I think what he did was he allowed all those hipsters at that rave to get killed because they weren't his people. They were the left. And he says, look, that never should have happened. I honestly don't believe that Israeli security was lax. How could that? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. For better or for worse, Israel's got a great army. It's a good, well-armed army, and the Mossad is a good security force. Good or evil, it's like saying, and I hear people say this, and it's kind of chilling, the Germans had a great army. The average German soldier was very well equipped. Now, why did they lose at Stalingrad? Because Hitler was a lunatic, and he overestimated. They thought they were invincible. But they were invincible in Poland, in France. They just don't. I mean, they were defeated by the Russian winter, and just the fact that waves and waves. But this is the thing, getting caught in the details. eventually we just got to stop killing each other and learn to maybe not love each other, but just not kill. Eventually, this has got to stop. Maybe you hear this, God? I'm angry with you too. Why don't you come down? It's like, don't make me come. Why don't you come down and straighten all this mess out? What's taking you so long? Because obviously we can't solve this. And I got to do all these crazy things to get people to pay attention. I wonder if they're going to ban me. Okay, let's go. Holocaust happened. Bad. Nazis bad. Hamas bad. German people. All right? Jewish people. Zionists. Being against the Zionists does not mean you're against the Jewish people. Even rabbis will tell you that. There's some rabbis that will say Zionism is kind of like the opposite of Judaism, where they're not the same thing, and one is not for the other. Although a lot of people confuse it, a lot of Jewish people confuse it. But talk to the rabbis. Not even the Hartz, the Shapiro guy. Talk to him. Don't talk to me. I'm an idiot. What do I know? But it's not a. Long story short, it's not a settled thing. It's just not a settled thing. It's not a settled thing. So Jewish people, Palestinians, people, Germans, people, Russians, people, communists, bad? Yeah, I think communism was bad. Were Nazis bad? Nazis bad. Hamas, bad. Bad Hamas. Zionists, bad. It's all bad. It's all bad. Is Christian nationalism bad? Is Christianity bad? No. Is Judaism bad? No. Is Islam bad? No. Any extreme is bad. Any group that says, I'm better than you, this is my land, get off of it, and I'm going to exterminate you. That was German nationalism. Any sort of nationalism, that's what it leads to. Was that it? All right, I'm going to hang up now. And again, I think I just owe people an apology because I put all sorts of stupid... I'm like a 12-year-old in my brain, even though I'm almost 65. God, I love that knife. $10 on Amazon. I know someone's going to break in here and try to kill me. Where's that mace? Maybe if I hide behind a door with a baseball bat or something, you know? I got this sharp, sticky thing. I gotta give me something, you know, just give me something to protect myself with. But I mean, do I like it? No, I mean, I wish I lived in a world where you had to worry about that. But I mean, the world's crazy now. Everybody's going crazy. I was watching a TV show where very, very liberal Jewish people are buying, not just like Berna, but they're buying guns because they're terrified that someone's going to break into their house and kill them. If you want to break into my house and kill me, kill me. I'm an old fat guy, you know. Maybe I deserve it. I don't know. Oh God, I'm hungry. What do I got in the refrigerator? I got that brown rice. I got steak. I got lots of. I shouldn't, but I got a good deal at Aldi's. That's the thing, though. I'm gonna get in trouble. Alexa, is Aldi's German?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, Aldi is from Germany. It was founded in 1961 by the Albrecht family.
Ooh. Well, anyways, that's the thing. Are you going to not use Aldi's because it's German? You can save half on your food. Giant Eagle, Amazon. I couldn't afford to eat anymore, but now I go to Aldi's and I get free delivery from DoorDash. Half. I'm spending half. I'm saving so much money by using the Krauts. I mean, you know, and thank you Germany for Aldi's. You're feeding me, and they actually have kosher food there too, which is nice. Everybody's got to learn to live together. Why can't we live together? I mean, we could use Belgium as an example. You've got the Dutch and the French living side by side, and they hate each other. Oh my God! Don't think the Dutch get along with, you know. There are two things I can't stand in this world: people that are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch. And yet the French seem to be able to get, It's like, why can't the world be like Belgium? You've got two people, they don't like each other, they find each other extremely obnoxious. I mean, the Dutch can't cook. And the French, they smell like garlic. I don't know. Talk to them. They do not like each other. They really, really don't. They they can't get along. They've got the Belgian Socialist Party, the Dutch Socialist Party. The Belgians have their own liberal party and conservative parties, and the Dutch have a sort of a nationalist, right wing racist party. Yeah, they kind of try to come across as the good Germans, the nice ones that hid the Jews. But I mean, they did the slavery thing, and they're kind of racist against the French. So, and what about apartheid in South Africa? So, I think my point is there are no good guys in the world. We are all equally schmucky and evil. We are. There's nobody in the world without sin. No, not one. So don't think you can point to any religion. You can't point to the Jews or the Germans or the Palestinians and say, well, they're animals. We should just wipe them out. Because we're all animals. We should, and I think God is going to come back and wipe most of us out because he's just had it with us. I mean, isn't that in the Bible? I mean, it's sad and it's wrong. I wish we could learn to live together. We should learn to live together. Do I have to keep repeating myself? Yeah, I'm sorry. I said some things I didn't mean to say. We should try to stop killing each other and admit that we've done bad things in the past, that they were bad, and that we should not perpetuate it. We should, in the future, not do bad things. This whole tit for tat, eye for an eye, tooth for tooth thing, it's never going to stop. It's got to stop sometime, okay? So maybe now that I've got your attention, let's just do that. Am I saying we should let Hamas go? There must be some, as smart as the Mossad and the Israelis are, there must be a more surgical way to do this. There really must be. There really, really has to be a more surgical way to do this than is being done. Like with the hammer of God or whatever. I don't know. And I've read this other thing that I heard too, that somehow, like we were created Al Qaeda, and I guess in a convoluted way we did by fighting the Soviets. We pumped money and we created Al Qaeda. And they were like, thanks, now we're going to kill you. I read this thing that Netanyahu created Hamas, that he pumped money into it because he didn't want to deal with Fatah, and Fatah is corrupt, but Fatah was secular, and they wanted to make a deal because they like being in power. And they didn't want to make a deal. They didn't want a two-state solution. They didn't want a Palestinian state. So they created Hamas. They created this monster so they'd have an excuse to wipe them out. It's like with the Nazis. Oh, the Polish attacked us. They're killing people in Galicia or Gdansk. They're raping people in the Sudetenland. And that was Hitler's excuse to just do these despicable things. And now history repeats itself. It's the oppressed have become the oppressors. There's nothing uniquely evil about German people. Obviously, everybody seems to do it. The Turks did it to the Armenians. It happened in Bosnia and Rwanda. It's just sort of Northern Ireland, the same people, exactly the same Celtic people, but different religions, just slaughtering each other. And the Belfast Accords. There has been progress in the world, but people still can't get along. But look at Ireland. It used to be like, oh well, the Irish can't take care of it. Well, they certainly could. Ireland's the richest country in Europe now, and Northern Ireland's just a mess. It's a real it's a slum. The part run by the British. If they would turn it over to the Irish, I wouldn't say Irish Catholics. I was there in 2007, and the guy says this used to be a Catholic country. It definitely isn't anymore. We're wealthy, we're secular, and religion is just some cultural vestige. Abortion's legal. They had a gay Teosik. I like Ireland. I think Ireland's awesome. They probably should give Northern Ireland back. What they're saying is they had a choice. Either we can be prosperous or we can keep this fighting going on. and they decided that the best revenge was living well. Maybe there's an example there. Instead of trying to kill the Jews, maybe you could go into business, and the Jews could allow that instead of people should just stop with the killing each other thing. That's a good thing. And I'm sorry that I said some mean things. God, what is wrong with me? I saw something that I found really bigoted, so I responded by saying something equally asinine, which is a terrible thing to do. But I mean, isn't that what the world does? Hamas does something terrible, so now they have to take it out on the Palestinian people. The Nazis were really, really awful, so we completely flattened Dresden, even though it had no military value. We just incinerated 50, 60,000 people for no reason at all other than revenge. No reason. No reason. Didn't like Germans. I had an aunt like that. She fought in the resistance. She hated Germans. Oh, God, she hated them. They did not nice things to our family because we were fighting in the resistance and we got caught. So I don't even want to give you the details. It's because it's too disgusting. It's not quite as bad as what they did to people in the camps, or what Hamas did, or what bombing people and dropping bombs from jets. It's not quite that bad, but it wasn't pleasant. People died, people starved, people froze, people were tortured, other things that I don't even want to talk about because war is not nice. Pulling people's fingernails out. Sticking a hose up somebody's ass and squirting water up there and rupturing their sphincter. Bad things happened to people during war. The Nazis were not nice people. And they did really, really horrible things. And we're still doing horrible people. We're still looking for excuses to be cruel. Am I a cruel person? Yeah, I probably am. I deliberately go on and say really, really, really nasty things, and I'm sorry. But try to understand that we live in a free society, and it's kind of encouraged to do that. I'm just looking for attention. Nobody watches my blog things, and I'm thinking, well, maybe if I say intelligent things, no, that doesn't work. But it seems like Howard Stern. He was like the shock jocks. If you say something really, 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 really horrible, maybe someone will pay attention to you. But I'm not that. I can't. I'm not even face to face. But face to face, I'm a pretty pleasant guy because I'm basically a spineless coward. And it's not really in my nature to be mean like that. It's just, my God, was I picked on when I was a kid. I kind of invited it. I was pathetic. I was just like, I never learned to fight. I never had any weapons. I never learned any. I learned karate, but so now I'm like obsessed with like anything, broken bottle, anything I can grab my hands on because I just don't feel safe. The world's not a safe place, but it would be nice. Alexa, play "Why Can't We Live Together" by Sade.
Here's Why Can't We Live Together by Sade on Amazon Music.
Alexa, play "Why Can't We Be Friends."
Here's Why Can't We Be Friends by War on Amazon Music.
Yeah, you probably won't be able to hear this anyways because I'm playing all these songs that you're not supposed to. So in conclusion, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. If I did anything to offend you or hurt you with my words, I want attention. I want you to pay attention to me. And now that I've got your attention, probably just for narcissistic reasons, I just like to say one thing. Can we please stop killing each other? Okay. Now ban me for saying that. I dare you.